finds a groove in the worn-out black disc. Dust settles on the frame where we took the risk. Coffee rings on the table where you let us stay. Colors of the afternoon start to bleed and fade. I reach for the dial, but the signal is thin. Tracing the places where your ghost has been. The air feels heavy like a velvet shroud. Static singing through a silver cloud. Time is a current pulling at my feet, turning the bitter into something sweet. Amber light dancing on the peeling wall, waiting for a shadow that will never fall. The scratch in the silence is the only sound, searching for the pieces that were never found. Hazy visions of a world but a rain, holding on to fragments of a gentle pain. The clock on the mantle hasn't moved an inch. I feel the distance in a sudden pinch. Your sweater is folded in the bottom drawer, losing the battle with the kitchen floor. The sun is a liquid pouring through the glass, watching the ghosts of the seasons pass. The air feels heavy like a velvet shroud, static simming beat with silver cloud. Time is a current pulling at my feet, turning the bitter into something sweet. Amber light dancing on the peeling wall, waiting for a shadow that will never fall. The scratch in the silence is the only sound, searching for the pieces that will never sound. Hazy visions of a war before the rain, holding on to fragments of a gentle pain. Maybe the crackle is a way to bridge the gap, caught in the middle of a long winter nap. The warmth of the home is a hollow embrace. Try to remember the lines of your face before the ink smeared and the paper tore, before the ocean reached the shore. Amber light dancing on the peeling wall, waiting for a shadow that will never fall. The scratch in the silence is the only sound, searching for the pieces that were never found. Hazy visions of a world before the rain, holding on to fragments of a gentle pain. Amber light dancing on the peeling wall, waiting for a shadow that will never fall. The scratch in the silence is the only sound, searching for the pieces that were never found. Hazy visions of a world before the rain, holding on to fragments of a gentle pain.
Fingers tracing silver lines along the window pane. The silence tastes like copper in the morning rain. I watch my shadow stretch across the hardwood floor, waiting for a sound that doesn't haunt me anymore.
The velvet pressure of the ceiling feels so near, while every ticking second strips away another year. I'm digging through the pockets of a coat I used to wear, looking for a version of myself that's still somewhere back then.
But the indigo is deepening inside my chest, a heavy sort of hollow that will let the fever rest. I'm navigating maps drawn on the surface of my palm, seeking out a center in this temporary calm.
It's a slow motion unraveling the violet clarity that's filtering through the blue. Maybe there is wisdom in the way the static sings, and the friction and the fractures and the way that winter brings. I don't need a witness to the shifting of the tide, just a quiet recognition of the place where truth resides. The mirror into diamonds, let the jagged edges shine, until the only history left is authentically mine. The coffee's getting bitter in a porcelain cup. I'm counting up the reasons why I never could keep up. The city moves in syncopated patterns out of reach, while I'm practicing the lesson that the lonely hours teach. There's a freedom in the falling if you learn to trust the air, even when you're certain that there's nothing waiting there. Just a solitary heartbeat keeping rhythm with the doubt, finding what to cherish and what to finally live without. What the indigo is deepening inside my chest, a heavy sort of hollow that won't let the fever rest. I'm navigating maps drawn on the surface of my palms, seeking out a center in these temporary calms. It's a slow motion unraveling of everything I knew, a shade of lighter clarity that's filtering through the blue. Oh, yes, the indigo is deepening inside my chest, a heavy sort of hollow that won't let the fever rest. I'm navigating maps drawn on the surface of my palm, seeking out a center in these temporary calms. It's a slow motion unraveling of everything I knew, a shade of violet clarity that's filtering through the blue.
Velvet curtains draw across the floor. I trace the silhouette beside the door, where shadows used to dance in amber light. Now silence is the only guest tonight. I reach for where your hand was meant to be, but find a void that stares right back at me. The needle drops and scratches on the vein, a dusty melody to mask the pain. This house is filled with relics of a king who traded everything for just a ring. Your coffee and your porcelain is cold, like every promise that we couldn't hold. Now I am drifting through the hollow halls, counting every crack along the walls. The sweetness of the wine has turned to dust, and iron will yield to the weight of rust. I'm a tenant in a memory of gold, watching all our inner truths unfold. The flame is flickered out into the gray, and left me standing here with no to say. They told me time would be a steady hand. Time would be a steady hand. You got the lonely to a better land, only to a better land, but every ticking second feels like lead, a heavy weight inside a weary head. I'm drowning in the stillness of the room, where every flower made an early bloom. I fold the linen where you used to sleep, the secrets that a man is forced to keep, heavy as the stones beneath the lake, and harder than a heart is meant to break. your laughter in the hallway breeze. It brings me trembling down upon my knees. The sun begins to crawl across the wood. I change me in and if I only could, but ink is dry on the final page. A bird is left to wither in its cage. The mirror shows a man I barely know, with nowhere left for heavy feet to go. The morning air is biting at my skin. The slow retreat of what might once have been. I'm gathering the pieces of the glass and waiting for the winter clouds to pass. Now I am drifting through the hollow halls, counting every crack along the walls. The sweetness of the wine has turned to dust, and I will yield to the way of rust. I'm a tenant in a memory of gold, watching all out in a truth unfold. The flame is flickered out into the gray, and left me standing here with no to
The ceiling fan spins a slow rotation, counting shadows as they stretch across the floor. I see the shape of your breath in the dim light. Nothing left to prove beyond this closed door. The world outside is muted and gray, but here the warmth is heavy and deep. We are suspended in the thick of the hour where the clock forgets to move. Just the sound of our pulses sinking in this hollow space we feel. Stay right where the silence settles down. No need to find the right sequence of words. The gravity is pulling us closer to the sheets, and the city feels like a distant memory, holding on to the stillness before the dawn breaks, keeping the secret of how we feel tonight. Your hand trace a map on my tired skin, reading the lines I never knew I drew. The blankets are a kingdom for the weary, and I am finding home inside of you. Every frantic thought has finally faded, leaving only the weight of your presence. We are suspended in the thick of the hour where the clock forgets to move. Just the time of our pulses sinking in this hollow space we fill. Stay right where the silence settles down. No need to find the right sequence of words. The gravity is pulling us closer to the sheets, and the city feels like a distant memory, holding on to the seamless before a dawn breaks, keeping the secret of how we feel. Can let the blue light lead through a blind? Say, can I touch the peace we have found? Everything else is just a distraction, when the only thing real is this quiet ground. Stay right where the silence settles down. No need to find the right sequence of words. The gravity is pulling us closer to the sheets, and the city feels like a distant memory. distant memory, holding on to this illness before the dawn breaks, keeping a secret of how we feel tonight. The street lamps cast a heavy amber glow across the velvet shadows of this room. I watch the way your breathing starts to slow, a quieter grace that lifts away the gloom. We drift within this steady rising tide. No need for frantic words to fill the space. With every arm I cast away aside, I find my sanctuary in your face. The pull is constant like the lunar phase, a gravity that binds our wandering souls. Beyond the tangled thicket of the days, this honest heat is what remains of hope. You are the pulse beneath my very skin, the sudden clarity that settles deep, where all the weary endings must begin, and all the sacred promises we keep. It is a fusion older than the stars, a language spoken in the marrow bone. It heals the jagged edges of the scars and tells me I am never more alone. Your touch is like a vintage melody that resonates inside my hollow chest, a subtle force that sets the spirit free and rents the race and mind a place to rest. The world outside is nothing more than haze, a blurred reflection in a window pane. But here within this incandescent maze, the purest parts of who we are remain. The pull is constant like the lunar phase, a gravity that binds our wandering souls. Beyond the tangled thicket of a blaze, this honest heat is what remains of hope. You are the pulse beneath my very skin, the sudden clarity that settles deep, where all the weary endings must begin, and all the sacred promises we keep. It is a fusion older than the stars, a language spoken in the marrow bone. It heals the jagged edges of the scars and tells me I am never more alone. The ceiling turns to liquid gray, staring down the hours left to wait. Cold coffee leaves a ring upon the wood. I would rewrite the silence if I could. My palms are tracing patterns in the air, searching for a ghost that isn't there. The weight of what I kept inside my chest is sinking deeper than the rest. The matter of the night is getting thin. I feel the walls are caving slowly in. I'm sinking through the floorboards of my mind, leaving every shallow thought behind. This hollow space is all I have to hold, a story that refuses to be told. I'm swimming in the blue of my own veins, trying to wash away the heavy stains. The quiet is a fever in my head, living in the words I never said, just a shadow dancing with the gloom in the corners of this lonely room. I stripped the velvet carpet covers from the glass, watching every blurry minute pass. The mirror doesn't recognize my face. I'm just a fracture in a wider space. The hum of the machine is far too loud. I'm lost inside a solitary cloud. Beneath the skin, the tension starts to fray as purple fades into a dusty clay. The mirror of the night is getting thin. I feel the walls are caving slowly in. I'm sinking through the floorboards of my mind, leaving every shadow thought behind. This hollow space is all I have to hold. The story that refuses to be told. I'm swimming in the blue of my own veins, trying to wash away the heavy stains. The quiet of fever in my head, living in the words I never said. Just a shadow dancing with the gloom in the corners of this lonely room. This hollow space is all I have to hold. A story that refuses to be told. I'm swimming in the blue of my own veins, trying to wash away the heavy stains. The quiet and the fever in my head, living in the words I never said. Just a shadow dancing with the gloom in the corners of this lonely room. This hollow space is all I have to hold. A story that refuses to be told. I'm swimming in the blue of my own veins, try to wash away the heavy stains. The quiet is a fever in my head, living in the words I never said. Just a shadow dancing with the gloom in the corners of this lonely room.
The radiator hums a lonely tune, while shadows stretch across our empty room. I watch the headlights fade into the night, leaving me to wrestle with the light. You left your scent upon the linen sheets, a bitter taste of something once so sweet. Now I'm tracing lines you left behind, searching for the peace I cannot find. But every clock is ticking out your name, and every spark is dying in the flame. I'm anchored to the ghost of how we felt, watching all the golden moments melt. It's a heavy weight to carry on my own, building up a kingdom on a throne of stone. I'm reaching through the silence for your hand, lost inside a world you used to plan. Maybe we were destined for the rain, to wash away the beauty and the pain. I'm staring at the ceiling till it turns to blue, counting every second spent away from you. The distance is a canyon wide and deep, promise that I'm struggling to keep. I saw your coat hanging by the door, reminding me of what we had before. Coffee in the pot has turned to cold, like stories that we never lived to unfold. I try to breathe, but air is getting thin, wondering just how to let the healing in. Oh, but every clock is ticking out your name, and every spark is dying in the flame. You're anchored to the ghost of how we felt, watching all the golden moment melt. It's a heavy weight to carry on my own, building up a kingdom on a throne of stone. I'm reaching through the silence for your hand, lost inside a world you used to plan. Yeah. coffee has gone cold on the nightstand. I am tracing the patterns in the plaster overhead. You left a heavy silence where your breath used to be. Now the floorboards only settle when I move my feet.
Every shadow on the wall is a shape I recognize, but the warmth is leaked out through the cracks in the door. I am holding on to nothing but the weight of my own skin.
Waiting for the morning to let the gray light in.
Ooh,
this hollow space is all I have to show for us. A slow collapse of everything we tried to trust. I am sinking through the mattress to the hardwood floor, counting all the reasons I should not need you anymore. It is quiet enough to hear my pulse begin to fade. Ooh, just a ghost in a house that we already made. Your sweater still smells like the rain from last July. I buried it deep in the drawer so I would not have to cry.
But the air in here is thin and it tastes like salt.
Trying to find a way to make this no one's fault.
The clock on the pencil has finally run out of time. And I am still rehearsing how to say I am doing fine.
This hollow space is all I have to show for us. A slow collapse of everything we tried to trust. I am sinking through the mattress to the hardwood floor, counting all the reasons I should not need you anymore. It is quiet enough to hear my pulse begin to fade. Just a ghost in a house that we already made. This hollow space means I have to show for us a slow collapse of everything we tried to trust. I am shaking through the mattress to the hardwood floor, counting all the reasons I should not need you anymore. It is quiet enough to hear my pulse begin to fade. Just get lost in a house that we'd already made.
Liquid shadows pull around my feet. Gravity is folding in the heat. Static crawling up the velvet walls. I barely feel the gravity that calls. Midnight heavy on my tired bones, sinking deep into the undertone. Nothing moving but the smoke I breathe, waiting for the silence to relieve. Cold horizons bleeding out the light, diamonds cutting through the indigo night. Every tremor tells a different lie underneath the charcoal colored sky. Leather pressed against my aching spine, tracing every fractured silver line. Power flowing through a hollow vein, washing out the residue of pain. The pull is steady and the weight is real. Forgot the way a human high. Hold the pressure till we be the brakes. Take whatever every tremor takes. Drowning in the indigo and gold. Stories that the darkness never told. Let the vibration shake the very core. I don't need the daylight anymore. Submerged in a heavy velvet sea. Whatever happens is enough for me. Concrete pulse beneath the rubber sole. Fighting just to keep the self whole. Mercury is rising in the glass. Watching all the blurry faces pass. I am steady while the ceiling spins. This is where the real descent begins. No direction in this hollow space. Just the memory of a vanished face. Electric comments humming in the floor. I have seen this version once before. Empty bottles on a marble ledge. Living right against the jagged edge. Confidence is just a mask I wear. Thick enough to block the freezing air. Moving slow within a heavy dream. Nothing ever is the way it seems. The pull is steady and the weight is real. Forgot the way a human heart should feel. Caught inside the crushing of the tide. Nowhere left to go, it's like us to hide. The shadow of your body hits the velvet floor. Heavy silence creeping underneath the bedroom door. I taste the copper on my tongue from every lie you spun. Counting down the seconds till the damage has begun. Your touch is like a fever burning cold inside my veins. I'm addicted to the cycle and the way you hold the reins. The bass is thumping like a heart that's lost its steady pace. I see the ghost of someone else behind your painted face. You are the sweet decay that I keep pulling to my chest. A beautiful disaster, leave a hollow in my breast. One hit of your poison and I'm paralyzed and stone. Drowning in the liquor of a love I've never known. The deeper that I sink, the more I crave the bitter end. Falling for the enemy and calling you a friend. Wrapped in silk and gasoline, we're waiting for the spark. Two broken mirrors reflecting nothing in the dark. Pull the curtains tight until the daylight disappears. I've been drowning out the logic with 1,000 jagged fears. You whisper honey threats against the hollow of my neck, leaving every promise as a twisted smoke can wreck. I should've walked away before the ink began to dry, but I'm captivated by the hunger in your predatory eye. The atmospheric pressures rise until I cannot breathe. Watching all the jagged edges as they start to seep out. The sweet decay that I keep pulling to my chest. A beautiful disaster leaving hollow in my breast. One hit of your poison and I'm paralyzed and stone. Drowning in the liquor of a love I've never known. The deeper that I sink, the more I crave the bitter end. Falling for the enemy and calling you a fan. Wrapped in silk and gasoline, we're waiting for the spark. Two broken mirrors reflecting nothing in the dark. You are the sweet decay that I keep pulling to my chest. A The silhouette against the cold window frame, counting every drop while I call out your name. Concrete pavement soaked in the midnight hue, still searching for the parts of me left with you. My pulse is heavy like the iron in the ground, walking through the static without making a sound. The ceiling is lowering its weight on my chest, while every dose of us is put to the final test. This gravity is pulling at the seams of my skin. I don't know where the hurt ends or where I begin. Drowning in the velvet of a velvet black sea, locked inside a cage, but I threw away the key. I am spinning through the cycle of a bitter design, trying to erase the way your spirit aligned with mine. Everything is blurred in the smoke of the room, waiting for the silence to flower and bloom. Cut the ties until the tether starts to fray. Nothing ever changes in the shade of gray. The glass until the vision is clear. The only thing I'm facing is the face in the mirror. Let it burn down to the charcoal and ash, watching every memory collide in a crash. Empty bottles lined up like soldiers on the floor. I can't remember what we were fighting for. The shadow on the wall, a stranger I know, teaching me the secrets that I cannot let go. Ice in my veins while the furnace is high, trading every truth for a beautiful lie. Waking up alone in the wreckage of the spark, finding my direction in the belly of the dark. It's pulling at the seams of my skin. I don't know where the hurt ends or where I begin. Drowning in the velvet of a velvet black sea, locked inside a cage, but I threw away the key. I am spinning through the cycle of a bitter design, trying to erase the way your spirit aligned. Everything is blurred in the smoke of the room, waiting for the silence to flower and bloom.
The ceiling turns to liquid gray, staring down the static of another day. I trace the fractures in the plastic skin, counting every place where the cold gets in. My shadow stretches long across the floor, a silent witness knocking at my door. I pull the curtains on the midday glare. There is a heavy weight within the air. The clock is ticking, but the hands are still. I fought the fever, then I lost the will. A phantom pressure underneath my chest, searching for a place where the mind can rest. I see my reflection in a broken glass, watching all the ghosts of the seasons pass. The silence has a frequency I know, a steady vibration from the world below. My pulse is sinking with the flickering light, suspended in the mirror of the lonely night. The walls are closing in to hold me tight, everything I buried coming back to bite. I am drifting through the hollow of my own design, tracing every crooked and distorted line. The gravity of memory is pulling me deep into the secrets that the waking hours keep. I am dissolving in the middle of the room, wrapped inside a fabric of a velvet room. No more running from the things I I cannot say. I let the ocean of my spirit wash away. The water rises to my trembling knees, caught within the branches of the mantle trees. I find a photograph I cannot name, a different version of a losing game. The noises fade into a distant hum, waiting for the numbness of the soul to come. I peel the layers of the skin apart to find the motor of a heavy heart. There is a logic in the way I fall, writing my confession on the bedroom wall. The ink is invisible but feels so fake. The trick of the light is a cool little trick. I hear the sirens from a mile away, singing to the wreckage of yesterday. I fold my hands inside the dark expanse, giving every demon one final dance. My pulse is sinking with the flickering light, suspended in the mirror of the lonely night. The walls are closing in to hold me tight. Everything I bury coming back to bite. I am drifting through the hollow of my own design, chasing every crooked and distorted line. The gravity of memory is pulling me deep into the secrets that the waking hours keep. I am dissolving in the middle of the room, wrapped inside a fabric of the velvet gloom. Mama running from the things I cannot say. I let the ocean of my spirit wash away. I am drifting through the hollow of my own design, tracing every crooked and distorted line. The gravity of memory is pulling me deep into the secrets that the waking hours keep.
The shadow of your silhouette lingers on the silk. The tea has gone cold and the air tastes like salt. I count the floorboards just to occupy the void, watching the gold leaf peel from the frame. The heavy silence settles in the marrow of my bones. The clockwork stalls in the middle of the hour. I reach for a warmth that dissolved weeks ago. Each breath feels like a heavy stone I have to lift. The hallway stretches longer when I say your name. Every wooden creak sounds like a footstep on the stairs, but the space between us is a chasm made of glass. I am standing in the rain of a memory that won't pass. My pride is a fortress that finally fell to the ground, searching for a solace that can no longer be found. This naked heart is bleeding through the sleeves of my coat. I try to build a dam against the rising tide, but the water found the cracks. I tried so hard to hide. There is no armor for the way I feel tonight, just a trembling flame without a flicker of light. I am stripped down to truth of needing you near. The ink on the letter has faded to ghostly gray. I keep the porch light burning till the break of day. My palms are empty and the winter is moving in. The scent of your perfume is a ghost under my skin. I am a house with all the windows left wide open. The piano keys are heavy under the weight of the chords. I am losing a battle far without any swords. The wallpaper peels and strips of forgotten time, trying to find a reason or a rhythm or a rhyme. But the only thing certain is the ache in my chest. But the space between us is a chasm made of glass. I am standing in the rain of a memory that won't pass. My pride is a fortress that finally fell to the ground, searching for a solace that can no longer be found. This naked heart is bleeding through the sleeves of my coat.
Sheets are frozen in this hollow space. I track the lines etched on your sleeping face, counting every shallow breath you steal, trying to determine if the void is real. The moonlight bleeds across the hardwood floor, while silence hammers at my bedroom door. I keep my secrets locked beneath my tongue, feeding on the heavy air inside my lungs. But the pressure is rising under my skin. The walls are starting to buckle and bend. I gave you every fragment of my soul. Now the gravity is taking back control. Shadow grow, a heavy distance that nobody knows. I used to find my sanctuary here, but now the atmosphere is thick with fear. The clock is ticking like a warning sign, tracing every fracture in your grand design. I stayed too long inside this quiet cage. Now I'm tired single page, because the pressure is rising under my skin. The walls are starting to buckle and bend. I gave you every fragment of my soul. Now the gravity is taking back control. I am breaking through the surface of the deep, waking from the promises we couldn't keep. The flood is coming and I let it flow. I am finally letting go. No more soft talk, no more walking on the glass, watching all the golden moments turn to grass. I am screaming at the ceiling till it falls, tearing down the insulation in these walls. Can you feel the fever peaking in the dark, waiting for the tiny friction of a spark? The pressure is rising under my skin. The walls are starting to buckle and bend. I gave you every segment of my soul. Now your gravity is taking back control. I am breaking through the surface of the deep, waking from the promises we couldn't keep. The flood is coming and I let it flow. I am finally letting go. The grass on the floor reflects the jagged lines of my pride. You walk through the door, leaving the hollow cold inside. I counted the lights, but they won't mend the way we felt. Just a heavy silence ringing like a funeral bell. My hands are shaking, trying to hold the ghost of your touch. I never imagined that loving you would cost this much. The sky is bruised, purple bleeding over the edge of the town. I am sinking under weight of the crown you threw down. Every promise we swore is a stone tied to my feet, dragging me under where the salt and the sorrow meet. Now the bed is a desert where the rain refuses to grow. I am drowning in the things that you will never know. Oh, no more excuses, no more man. That's to fight our way back. You left me engine running, then faded into the black. I am picking up the pieces of a life I don't recognize, searching for a truth behind the veil of your golden lies. The walls are closing in, breathing the scent of your skin. I am losing the fight before the battle can even begin. The sky is bruised, purple bleeding over the edge of the town. I am sinking under the weight of the crown you threw down. Every promise we swore is a stone tied to my feet, dragging me under where the salt and the sorrow meet. Now the bed is a desert where the rain refuses to grow. I am drowning in the things that you will never know. I see the headlights are flickering through the window pane. I'm just another stranger passing through the pouring rain. I used to think that we were written in the ancient stars, but now I'm just tracing the geometry of my scars. The ink is dry and my pages are starting to burn. I am finally facing the lesson I refuse to learn. Oh, the sky is bruised, purple bleeding over the edge of the town. I am sinking under weight of the crown you threw down. Every promise we swore is a stone tied to my feet, dragging me under where the salt and the sorrow meet. Now the bed is a desert where the rain refuses to go. I am drowning in the things that you will never know. The sky is bruised, purple bleeding over the edge of the town. I am sinking under the weight of the crown you threw down. Every promise we swore is a stone tied to my feet, dragging me under where the salt and the sorrow meet.
The sheets are still warm on your side of the heavy mahogany frame. I trace the indentation where your shoulder used to rest in the quiet. The ghost of your cologne lingers like a debt I can never quite repay. And the floorboards groan under the weight of a silence I cannot break. I pour a glass of vintage red just to feel something sharp against my throat. Watching the sunset bleed into a bruised shade of purple over the skyline. We built a cathedral out of promises that were never meant to stand. Now I am kneeling in the rubble, searching for a brick that isn't cracked. You were the melody that taught my pulse how to find a steady beat. But every harmony we laid eventually dissolved into a different key.
I keep your letters in a cedar box beneath the velvet chair in the hall.
Afraid to burn them and afraid to let the ink smudge against my skin.
The emperor's then
When I try to speak your name into the hollow dark.
That is a beautiful kind of torture.
Knowing exactly how the fracture started. We were a masterpiece painted in oil that refused to ever fully dry. Smearing the colors until the beauty and the sorrow looked identical.
Love is a golden blade
that cuts deeper than any rusted iron could reach.
It is the nectar on the tongue and the soul that stings the open wound.
I would endure the winter again just to glimpse the ghost of your smile.
Though the hate is a heavy anchor
pulling me beneath the glassy surface.
It is a cruel blessing to have felt the fire before the frost moved in.
But sweetest agony is remembering how it felt to be completely known. I saw a coat that looked like yours passing through the crowded station gate.
My heart did a frantic dance
before I realized the stride was all wrong.
The city keeps moving
as if the world didn't end when you walked away.
As if the stars shivering
in the cold vacuum of the sudden distance.
I bought the flowers you like,
but they look like mourners on the table,
wilting in sympathy
for a house that forgot how to sound like a home.
There is a specific frequency
to the grief that settles in
after midnight.
A low vibration that hums through the pipes and
settle in my marrow.
I find myself
arguing with the shadow
about
who surrendered first.
But the truth is we both held on until our fingers bled from the friction. You are the most exquisite scar I will ever carry on my tired chest.
A permanent reminder that the greatest heights lead
through the longest fall. The air grows still when I tread and speak your name into the hollow dark.
It is a beautiful kind of torture.
Knowing exactly how the section started.
We were a masterpiece painted in oil that refused to ever fully dry.
Smearing the colors until the beauty and the sorrow looked identical.
Love is a golden blade
that cuts deeper than any rusted iron could reach.
It is the nectar on the tongue and the salt that stings the open wound.
I would endure the winter again just to glimpse the ghost of your smile.
Oh, the hate is a heavy anchor
pulling me beneath the glassy surface.
It is a cruel blessing to have caught the fire before the frost moved in.
The sweetest agony is remembering how it felt to be completely known.
Love is a golden blade that cuts deeper than any rusted iron could reach. The nectar on the tongue and the salt that stings the open wound.
I would endure the winter again just to glimpse the ghost of your smile.
Oh, the hate is a heavy anchor
pulling me beneath the glassy sort of fence.
It's a cool blessing too.
The velvet touch of evening shadows on the skin, tracing patterns where the daylight used to spin. A low vibration humming through the hollow hall, counting shadows as they lean against the wall. No rush to capture what the clock is trying to say. We leave the frantic pieces of the broken day. The air is heavy with a quiet kind of grace, finding solace in the stillness of the space. The weight of everything begins to dissolve. A simple motion is the only way to resolve. Golden hues are melting deep inside the glass, watching every heavy second slowly pass. A gentle cradle for the weary and the warm, waiting for the quiet numbers to be reborn. In the glow where every movement feel like silk, soft as honey swirled into a cup of milk. I hear the hum of distant wires through the pain, the steady rhythm of a soft and cooling rain. The silver holds the imprint of a tired frame.
while flickering candles refuse to stay the same. Oh, there is a sanctuary built in every side, under the safety of a white and indigo sky. The air is heavy with a quiet kind of grace, finding solace in the stillness of the space. The weight of everything begins to dissolve. A simple motion is the only way to resolve. Only you so melting deep inside the glass, watching every heavy second slowly pass. A gentle cradle for the weary and the one waiting for the quiet embers to be reborn in the glow where every movement feels like silk, soft as honey swirled into a cup of milk. No more searching for the reasons why we stay. The noise of living starts to fade so far away. A steady pulse within the center of the chest, finally finding where the spirit goes to rest. Oh, melting deep inside the glass, watching every second slowly pass. A gentle cradle for the weary and the one waiting for the quiet embers to be reborn in the glow where every movement feels like silk, soft as honey swirled into a cup of milk. Golden hues are melting deep inside the glass, watching every second slowly pass. Gentle cradle for the weary and the worn, waiting for the quiet embers to be reborn in the glow where every movement feels like silk, soft as honey swirled into a cup of milk.
The groove in the fading amber light, a dusty circle spinning through the center of the night. I watch the shadows lengthen on a peeling floral wall, waiting for a phantom or a heavy rain to fall. Every scratchy hum is a bridge across the years to a summer saturated in those quiet velvet fears. We were sitting on the porch swing just to watch the sky turn gray. Now the static is the only thing that didn't drift away. But the gold is getting darker in the corners of my mind, searching for the pieces that I swore I'd never find. It's a dull and happy ache where the honey used to be, just a slow and steady ripple on a long forgotten sea. And I'm leaning on the silence till it peels just like a skin, wondering where the memory ends and where the ghosts begin. There's a tea stain on the table shaped like somewhere we once went, before the letters tangled and the messages were spent. I can almost taste the sugar and the cooling autumn air, the scent of cedar drifting from the tangle of your hair. But the motion of the record is a trick played by the clock. The key is getting rusty and it's stuck inside the lock. Every skip and every stutter is a word we never spoke, floating like the embers of a fire turned to smoke. And the gold is getting darker in the corners of my mind, searching for the pieces that I swore I'd never find. It's a dull and heavy ache where the honey used to be, just a slow and steady ripple on a long forgotten sea. And I'm leaving on the silence till it feels just like a skin, wondering where the memory ends and where the ghosts begin. Yes, the cold is getting dark darker in the corners of my mind, searching for the pieces that I swore I'd never find. It's a dull and heavy ache, where the honey used to be. Just as slow